Hello and welcome to Formula E. We are here with a brand new experimental qualifying format in Buenos Aires. Our 11 drivers will take to the circuit and attempt to set the fastest times that they can. For our bottom 6, that may well be the end of their qualifying session. For our top 5, they progress to the new, slightly expanded Super Pole race. There is tyre wear in this qualifying session. These drivers, obviously having just come off the starting grid, will be setting their first flying laps now, but they need to keep an eye on their tyre condition. While these cars tend not to slide too much because of the heavy grip, they do have slow acceleration. I am joined, of course, by the brilliant Nuno.
Hello.
Hello. And Matty Martin to the pit lane already. That's an interesting strategy. Nuno, what do you think about that?
Probably not the best. I mean, you should do at least 2 laps each stint because the first one is always going to be slow. So yeah, now it's the real laps. Yeah, it'll be interesting if someone can still do one more lap. But for what I saw, at least seemed to be a little bit hard. I think the acceleration really does take effects already like quite soon, which is a bit surprising. I thought it would take a few more time. But yeah, you can
Okay,
see already it's
Isto
going to
in,
the
yeah.
pit.
Interesting that. So the rest of these drivers will be completing their second flying lap. Corvid does not improve, nor does Kraft, but Ewer does. Giruni does not.
Yeah,
Uh,
might depend also how good was the previous lap.
True. Gorlomi does improve, as does Hippocat. I stole these words into the pit lane,
Ooh,
as was Crunk,
I
Matimar. Go on.
just saw Corby with a little bit of a moment there. He kind of just stops a little bit. Not sure
Mm.
exactly what happened there, but yeah, now he should be diving to the pits with Kraft.
Kraft and Corvid in. Um, Corvid obeying to the white lines of the pit lane. Kraft does not. I will inform the drivers before the race they don't need to do that because that will probably save you about 10 seconds by not doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, there's still quite a few people staying out. Probably not the best idea. I think the best is to actually pit 2 times so you get 3 chances.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Isto, funnily enough, only about 7/10 slower on his outlap than he was on his flyer. Interesting because a lot of people,
Yeah,
it was
you can't
32.18 for him. A lot of people are slower than that on their best flying lap so far. Anti-Lobster and Jaruni all in for their stops. A lot of different strategies. Drivers haven't quite nailed this one down yet, have they?
Yeah, and he still can improve quite a lot, so I think he might certainly do it now. I believe it.
Yeah, look at
There
that.
goes. Oh, but just
31.40.
300. Actually, I thought it would be even more.
Yeah. Any improvements? Crunk came in on the same lap as Isto. He improves. He's up in 10th place at the moment. 400ths here, clear of Hippocat. So expect them to be in a tight battle for that final points paying position as the race goes on. Yeah, should be interesting. Anyone else? Ewer and Gorlomi now in. These are their first stops. So everyone has now changed tyres at least once in this qualifying session. These drivers will get 2 more efforts to go for that final lap. Kraft is our on-track leader. He came in quite early on. I stole these words. Is back in the pit lane for the second time. He, I believe, will be one of our only drivers to take that second pit stop because there's only a minute left on the clock now. If drivers don't come in this lap, then they will not have time to complete a flying lap before the checkered flag comes out. Drivers will not necessarily have time to get to the line even because the countdown will be so short at the end of it. Corvid will give it one final roll of the dice. This could blow up in their faces though, because on track drivers such as Kraft, who've only stopped once, are that much further ahead that it won't be the end of this lap, it'll be the end of next one. If he finishes that and Corvid doesn't reach the line in time, that means it's an entirely redundant final one from Corvid. But look at him, look at the progress that he's made with his times already. He's tied, I stole these words, for the lead of the qualifying group. The bit that we're really looking at is Gorlomi and the anti-amazing who's now improved up there. He's knocked Lobster out there and Gorlomi now down as well. You can see these drivers. Kraft coming up here. Corvid, top of the timing sheets, but he's all the way back, just starting now his final flying lap. Kraft will finish off this qualifying session for us. The likes of Anti, Ewer, Gorlomi, Lobster, Jaruni, all on the cusp of that qualifying group. Gorlomi improves. That's a huge lap from him. What can the Anti-Amazing do about it? Anything in particular? And as projected, Corvid won't have time to finish off that flying lap. And it does look like, in the end, the Anti-Amazing is out. He didn't quite set a time fast enough. Ewer, at the end, snuck into the sub-32 range. Brilliant from the South African on his debut. And he is through. So is Gorlomi. Ewer in that brand new 5th spot for a driver in Superpole. Gorlomi through. And it's our classic trio of Corvid, I stole these words, and Kraft. Anti-Amazing, Lobster, Matimar, Jaruni, so the Mahindras, the Renaults, and Lobster in the Dragon will take no further part in this session. The top 5 go to Superpole. Here we go. 2 laps of racing to decide the top 5 on the grid and the driver on pole position. We're underway for this 2-lap ghosted race. Ewer gets a poor start immediately, and he's off the back of this front 4. We'll get a closer look at them now. I stole these words. Leads this Superpole race. Corvid needs to get a couple corners right, but he doesn't. He goes well deep into that left-hand sweeper, and he falls back into the clutches of Kraft and Gorlomi. Still an incredibly tight top 4 pack as they head to the end of lap 1 here in Superpole. Kraft looking at a slightly inner line coming into that final couple corners. Very high-speed chicane at the end of the Puerto Madero circuit. Very deep into turn 1 he goes. Corvid gets a much better exit than him. I stole these words. Now really being pressured by the Aussie, who made a big mistake at this corner last time round. No such mistake now. A great couple corners. Look at that. And Corvid looking absolutely spectacular. The man who tied for the fastest time in the group stages. If he can get the final couple corners right, which he does, takes pole position here in Buenos Aires. I stole these words. Will start alongside him on the front row. Kraft, his teammate, starts right behind him. Then it'll be Gorlomi starting in 4th and Ewer starting in 5th. I stole these words for the very first time in his Formula E career does not top a session that he raced in. I mean, that's pretty incredible. No.
Yeah, it's pole position. I think he was quite crucial there, but what's going to be also crucial will be that run down to turn 1 in the first lap, because it is a tight hairpin and someone will definitely get killed there. And Corvid, of course, he has a little bit of a stall, although probably not on his screen, which might be allow him to just get away, maybe. But yeah, we will see. I think it might actually be a tight fight between Corvid and Stolly.
Absolutely. Here we go then. Kubo joins our grid, having missed out on the qualifying session. 5 lights ahead of them. We are underway. The Anti-Amazing gets a slow start off the grid, immediately swarmed by the likes of Red Lobster, Jaruni and Matimar going into turn 1. Corvid loses the lead to I Stole These Words, but they fight for it, heading down through turn 2 into turn 3. Can Kraft get a potential move here? He backs well out of that one. Lobster goes way up the inside, and again, huge crashes all over the place at that hairpin, and that has allowed Corvid to absolutely bugger off up the road.
Yeah, that was why I think he may have crashed a little bit into Stolly, which caused a huge pile up there. Now Corvid with the clear lead. And yeah, let's see what can Stolly do now to catch up to the Australian.
Not helped particularly by Red Lobster sending it like a kamikaze pilot up the inside at the hairpin. Gorlomi getting passed by Matimar, but he slows down a little bit. He goes back for the lunge up the inside of Lobster. Bit of give and take between those two. Dive bomb merchants. They head into the next hairpin now, and it is actually quite respectful on the exit. They keep it side by side through the final corners. Surely one of them has to back out. Neither of them do, and they still stay side by side. Going up to the back of I Stole These Words. Look at this double dive bomb on the inside, and Matty Marco's nearly backwards. Unbelievable there, but he's carried on. He's still in 4th place. He's got Gorlomi and Antti right behind him, pressuring him for the position. It's so difficult to make a move happen in these cars. Antti is into the wall. He's slowed down. He may be out of this race, or he may just be experiencing some technical issues with that Renault E-Dams machinery. Kubo up the inside of Kronk. They've made their way away from Hippocat. I stole these words despite getting caught up in one of the most terrifying combinations of Matimar and Red Lobster right behind him coming into the hairpin of turn 1. He has made it through into 2nd place. Lobster, a driver who's had really terrible luck this season, was forced to withdraw from the Putrajaya race just before the race start, and DNS is now running his first ever laps up in the podium positions. Kraft has had a poor start. He's down from 3rd on the grid to 5th. Matimar has made up some positions. From row 3 or 4, he's up to 4th position. Gorlomi now going through. He's in 6th place. Jaruni is pretty much where he started. Antti down a couple spots. Ewer down quite a few spots. And a big concertina effect as they come through the turn 1 hairpin. Slowing ahead means slowing behind. Drivers getting stuck in a traffic jam. Gorlomi with a really nice little switch up the inside of Jeru. Coming into the hairpin. Can Jeru fight it back? He goes to the outside at the next hairpin. Gorlomi leaves the room respectfully on the outside. Jerry might get a better run up the inside here. He wedges his nose in, and a great, fearless overtake from the Belarusian at high speed. He gets through, but that's not going to be the end of it. He tries to squeeze Gorlomi. Matti got into a little collision there as well. He's slowed back. He's right ahead of Kraft now. A lot of action in these opening laps here in Buenos Aires. Gironi still sticking it up the inside of Gorlomi. The favour returned by the Italian driver. 3 wide they go with Graf down
Oh
to the
my
bottom
god.
right hairpin. This can't end well, and it doesn't for Gironi, who gets an issue and backs
Oh,
up
and
into
Anti gets
Antti as well, who's already into the pit lane. Is he retiring from this race? Maybe he's just going in for an alternate strategy. Maybe he is retiring. We're not quite sure. No, he's going for a hard tyre. He might be doing the strategy of trying to set the fastest lap of the race. If he can get his 2 hard stints out the way, drivers then who are thinking that they're unable to score points from the position that they're in, from whatever position they end up finishing, are eligible to score the 2 points for the fastest lap of the race. That puts him an entire lap down on our race leader Corvid, who slowly but surely is having his lead eaten into by I Stole These Words. It's not quite as dramatic as all of the fighting behind Gironi up the inside of Gorlomi again. A really desperate move, that one, actually, and
I
he's
think,
been punished for it. Nuno, your thoughts on the start?
yeah, I think Kraft may have been the biggest loser out of all of this. It was just huge chaos there, and then yeah, some people absolutely just dive bombing really hard in this race. As you can see now, Red Lobster just pushing Matimar there. Now Kraft trying to really pick up the scraps now to take P4. Also, I saw Stolly closer to Corvid after that chaos, but then Corby managed to open the gap a little bit now. So I think Corby is really driving a very respectful race now, and yeah, but still he has to keep his eyes on the British driver.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's now got a 6 point. Oh my god, lots of
Oh
crashing
my
there.
Jesus!
Lobster and oh
Kraft
my
once
god,
again.
Kraft well back as well. Really unlucky for the Finns so far today. Gorlomi with a little bit of ping there sent into the wall, and he'll drop into 6. Yeah, it's now a 6 point lead for our race leader, Corvid. Due to I saw these words as DNS in the Punta del Este round, the last race. That means that the Australian leads the championship for the first time, 6 points clear of the Briton.
I
Gorlomi, oh my god, basically turned backwards at the just before the apex of that hairpin. He's now down to 8th position behind debutant Krunk, who is stepping in and so
yeah,
far doing a fine job going.
also, Yo and I just noticed he started P5, at least in the top 5, and now he's down to P10. I'm not really sure what happened to him, but
Lots of crashes, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, may have certainly been. There's a lot of turns here. Turn 1, then the second hairpin, and then you have that turn right before the pits as
Ah,
well.
Gorlomi?
I think, did you hit the back of him? I think I saw Gorlomi slowing down there. Maybe he's
Yeah,
trying
he
to.
sandwiched me.
Mm, frustrating. He's in 7th place now. Kraft in 6th. Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare start. He's down 3 positions. I think there's just a lot of ping out there
Ooh,
today
Kubo
because I
passing
think,
along there.
yeah, and I think that was the result of Gorlomi being squeezed into the wall by Kraft, who at least on my screen was a good few car lengths ahead. Look at this though, Kronk and Ewer with designs on getting through Gorlomi if they can, going into the fast left-hand sweeper. Kubo just wants to avoid all of this drama if he
Might
possibly
really
can.
hard
Look at
though.
this pack of cars, incredible. Look how tight they are. You are right at the back of them. They're going to go 4
Ah,
wide pretty much into the hairpin. This can't end well. They're still going at it. 2 wide
Kubo
go
losing
Kronk
pole
and Ewer.
position.
Oh my
Too late for
lord.
Anthony.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh
Jesus.
my god.
Oh my goodness. They're still going at it. Kubo,
But
Ewer and Gorlomi.
also Matty and Red Lobster for third.
Incredible. Kraft versus Jeru for 5th. Matty versus Lobster for 3rd. And 3 wide going through the apex of that hairpin. We are now on into the pit window. Lap 14 of 28 is the advisory lap for our drivers to pit. It's still 1.5 seconds there or thereabout between Corvid and I Stole These Words. And it's really refreshing to see after I Stole These Words winning by 15 seconds in Beijing, by 18 seconds in Putrajaya, both races over Corvid in 2nd place. Corvid, of course, with the technical issue in Putrajaya, said he was lucky to hold on to 2nd place. Very well managed there in the end. But that still aside, it's difficult that. Jaruni and Krunk have come in. That means that Anti's actually promoted up into 10th place. We've now got a whole pack of cars in on their 14th lap. It is I Stole These Words in as well as Lobster, Matimar, and Gorlomi. Hippocat did come in and is now battling Anti, who stopped very early on. Oh no, sorry, Hippocat has yet to come in, but he is up into 7th place now as a
Yeah,
result of that. Go on,
and
Corvid
I
in.
think Graf is really trying to take good advantage of the clean air now to maybe try an overcut because he certainly did have a lot of issues with Matty and Red Lobster and all of that, so he really needs to take big advantage of this as now he finally came to the pitch. Even if it doesn't pass him on the pitch, he might still now have better tires to allow him to have better chances to maybe snap third.
Oh, Corvid overcuts by a lap, and that's such a risky strategy, but I think it is the right one for him as the race leader. That has allowed now, and it was very nip and tuck as they were going down the main straight. We just saw I Stole These Words with the pace advantage coming all the way back from the final corner versus Corvid with the reduced speed coming out of the pit lane. It does mean over the course of the 16th lap of the race, I Stole These Words is now in the slipstream of Corvid. That's not entirely dominant in these cars, but it is somewhat significant. Ewer might be playing a team game here, which would be
Yeah,
fascinating as an Andretti reserve driver if he can hold up I Stole These Words just a little bit. And this has always been what Effie's about at the very front. It's a game of fractions. He's slow through there. Will he be into the pit lane? He will. He's not going to be playing the team game. He's not interfering in this fight between the front two.
he could risk also screwing up Carvey there. Both
Yeah.
high drivers, and they could really not end up well.
The Anti-Amazing is now in 3rd place, with one
But
of
his
the
tires
most
are dying.
dramatic undercuts of the season, pitting on lap 6 for his second hard tyre stint, which is 12 laps before, no, sorry, 8 laps before almost every other driver. But that has worked a total charm in terms of race pace. He's had clean air, he's had fresh hard tyres, and he now runs in the podium positions. It's not going to be for long. To compare it to real life Formula E, he's hopped in the second car very, very early on as a result of maybe an issue in his first one. This car is not going to last the next 9 laps in any sort of state to complete the race in the points paying positions with not a insignificantly tight pack behind. It's Jaruni.
He's certainly gonna
Mm,
he's certainly gonna be an obstacle for a lot of these drivers,
he
which could
will.
really it's certainly gonna be interesting to see because it's quite a huge pack. Like I would say, this is probably the most entertaining race so far. We got the battle for the lead, and we got quite a huge pack. A lot of drivers actually being close instead of everyone being in no man's land. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see when everyone approaches Anti.
It's incredible to see like you of course see drivers who haven't pit like UR who hadn't pit and they're in the lead of the race, and that makes sense. You know, you haven't pit yet, you're in the lead because everyone else has taken that time loss and you haven't. And obviously nothing against UR strategy, but I'm saying that that's something you do see. But in this league this is one of the unique properties of this league. The anti took an undercut, and that undercut was so great that on pure pace alone, with everyone now having completed their mandatory hard-to-hard tyre stop, he has not gone for any sort of different tyre or different number of stops. He is very much on pace in third position, and that is his third position to lose. It is his position to defend, and he has every right to do so. An alternate strategy, pitting earlier, does not forfeit his right to be able to try and hold down that position very best he can, but he's lost 5 seconds or more in the last few laps on these drivers. The acceleration on that Renault Edam's car, terrible, 33.20 on that last lap, still only 4 tenths slower than Gero, but 2 seconds slower than Gorlomi. That is significant. Kraft in 7th at the moment. Poor for him. Lobster fallen down to 8th. His teammate Kuba now right behind him. Ewer, then Crunk, and Hippocat backs up the field. Go on, Nuno.
Yeah, Kraft might be a bit down simply the consequence of the overcut, but he's now closer to drivers who have older tires, so now he really needs to take that as an advantage to pass the drivers, which is very crucial. But yeah, I would say quite impressive for Mantis to still be in third with 6 laps to go, I think, and yeah, it might actually work even if it's not third. It might still be a very high position. He was quite far down before pitting, so I think he might still be gaining something from this.
I think you might be right, and I think that is something that has... Oh, look, Kraft with a really nice little switch on Matty there. Matty goes deep into the hairpin. I think you might be right about that, and I think that has been something unique to this race in particular, which is so much time has been lost. We've had more midfield fighting in this race than any other that I've seen so far. Huge packs of cars, as is the properties of this track, as the Dragon cars go side by side up the main straight. Will Kuba make an effort here? He will. He goes up the inside, but he backs out just at the apex of 2. Lobster will keep 8th place at the moment. He's lower than he was early in the race. 3rd place with the soaring heights of the Turkish driver's race, but he's now receded back down a little bit. Corvid is still with that gap on I Stole These Words. It's the slipstream really not as powerful here as in so many other series, and that is at the disadvantage of I Stole These Words. Corvid has the lap fresher tyres. Anti under pressure from Girouni now, who gets a better exit, and after 10 laps running up in 3rd place, he has very valiantly defended and fought up in that position, and he does finally cede his podium place. Corvid still leads I Stole These Words. 3 laps stand between the Australian driver and a fair, square, on merit race win against the man who has looked so domineering in this championship so far. I mean, this would be incredible.
Yeah, and the thing is that Stoli really has a really tough job in his hands. We're talking about circuits with closed walls and all of that, and he has to pass Corvid, who might have one of the biggest shields, which is his ping, and for Stoli to really make an overtake, it's just not going to be easy. So even if he has...
Oh, that might be it. That might be it, folks. I think he
Yeah,
went
that's
down the
why.
inside at 1, and he got completely stuck in the wall there. He's hit that very hard. I think that might have been some of the ping issue caused by Corvid. Or something in
Yeah,
there,
that's
maybe a rare mistake from Stoli as Kraft and Anti side by side. Look at how little purchase Anti has on those tyres on this penultimate lap. Look how close we've still got this entire pack. Girouni looking at what would be a shock podium for him because he started quite low down, 6th or 7th position in that Mahindra car. Go on.
This is proving that the undercut was quite strong because obviously Giroud not undercut as hard as Anti, but they still made an undercut. He got the position and he's really benefiting a lot from that.
I think you're right. It's the pure gap that you're able to make up from that. Corvid will be so glad with this. He leads the championship, but for the first time in Formula E, he wins the Buenos Aires ePrix and leads home I Stole These Words, who has to settle for 2nd. Wow, that has blown this season wide open. I apologise about the countdown timer. That's a big oversight. I do very much apologise about that. Corvid wins from I Stole These Words. Jaruni in third place takes his first podium and Mahindra's first podium in this league. Gorlomi takes fourth in the Trilly car. Kraft, not a great day at the office for him. It was fifth place only. Matty Martin sixth. And Anti, incredibly, having run so long on those tyres, 22 laps he did in that second stint, comes home in seventh place. A huge undercut, very much working out for the likes of Jeru and Anti. Kubo, starting from the back, having not put in a time in qualifying, will take 8th place for Dragon Racing, and it's double points for the Dragon Racing team. Red Lobster takes 9th, just ahead of UR, who finishes 10th. Crunk, 11th on debut. All of these three drivers, UR, Crunk, and Hippocat, putting in valiant performances on their debut. All teams fielding drivers apart from Audi Apt Scheffler, who couldn't be here today because of a logistics issue. Wow.
Can I just
Go on, Nuno.
Before the interviews, because then I gotta go. So
Yeah.
I would say that start was quite decisive. That run down to turn one, it seems quite evident that either Corey or I stole this would have been killed, and it was Stolly in the end. Corey got quite a massive gap there, was certainly very, very helpful and decisive. Because then later on it allowed him to make that overcut and still keep the lead, which would have been just very, very crucial. And yeah, but lucky for Stoll, he still managed to keep top two, and so he wasn't swallowed by that huge pack. But still, there was that massive pile up after that second hairpin. And yeah, we saw the likes of like Red Lobster and Matty thinking be a bit more at the front. Then we saw that I guess brave strategy from Anti to go for that undercut after being, I think, killed multiple times at the beginning and being quite far behind, and then he just got himself up to third, not quite there in the end, but yeah, I guess it was certainly worth the try. And that yeah, Journey once again also proving that the undercut was quite strong, and in general, I would say probably the best race so far of the season. We got a big battle for the win, and then a lot of close racing around the midfield. Like I don't think we ever saw this in the other races so far.
Yeah,
So
I completely agree.
yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and I see you next time.
See you next week. Yeah, completely agree with that verdict. I think it's definitely some of the properties of the tracks, having those long straights, having the hairpins in there as well, and that allowed these sort of packs to form and stick together. Slipstream, not very powerful in these cars, but yeah, definitely helped out there. Then we will go to our race winner. Corvid, you won last time out in Punta del Este by a good margin over a Virgin car. An amazing win that. But to do it over I Stole These Words, that's got to be a special feeling.
Yeah, it was an absolutely tight race the whole time. Honestly, out of the whole weekend, the second lap of Super Pole was probably the single best thing I've put together the whole season. I was able to claw back all of the time I lost in the first lap, and I was able to put it on pole, so I was absolutely pumped with that. The race came, I got a bit of an iffy start. I still got back through, it was a bit chaotic. And then it was just a massive battle in terms of just raw pace between me and Isto. We'd each make like tiny little mistakes here and there. I lost so much of my, gained so much of my gap before the pit stop and lost it all on the overcut. But I was still able to barely hold on to the lead, and I just kept that for the rest of the race, thankfully. Yeah.
Was the overcut intentional from you, or was it a reaction to Isto?
I had to overcut. I didn't want to risk getting like tripped up by some of the other drivers who were probably going to like further back in the field wanted to go another lap, and I felt like it was just the best case scenario for me, just to ensure that I didn't get. I feel like it was a case of I lose both ways, but thankfully the overcut worked just enough for me here.
If you had lost track position after the overcut, do you think that would have been it, or do you think the lap fresher tyres could have allowed you back into it?
It definitely would have given me a shot. I feel like me and Isto's pace was very similar. So if there was any like particular really bad mistake, I would have absolutely eaten him up. But yeah, it's just really tough with these cars.
You did a great job, mate. Congrats.
Thank you.
I'd love to go next to, I stole these words, a champion in this league in many an event so far, but you couldn't quite get it in first position today. Run us through your race.
Well, yeah, I mean, the start was a bit chaotic, wasn't it? But yeah, I had a pretty good start, and you know, it's the 4 hairpins, you know, and Corvid has ping, so trying to run away, but you know, we're so evenly matched that it's impossible. So, you know, got a little bit stuck on the mid lap hair or the third hairpin, and then we're sort of just playing catch up for the rest of the stint. And like Corbett said, we're just so evenly matched on pace that it was quite hard to just, you know, he'd do a faster lap, I'd do a faster lap. Got very lucky, very lucky, as you alluded to in comms, that Red Lobster and Matty did not lag rocket themselves into me on turn 1 on like lap 3, because that was
That looked like a scary moment, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but we got away with that one, so that was thankful that they stopped doing that afterwards. Yeah, I mean, to be honest as well, I really wanted to pit on lap 13, but like Kovac said, just the risk of getting dragged into everything that was going on back in the pack and just basically losing so much time that way, I had to wait until 14, and I had to try an undercut of some sort on him, because, you know, there's no point just following, is there? And yeah, did try to get past it at the hairpins, but it's, you know, we're so evenly matched and he doesn't make mistakes, so you just, you know, you try, you get caught because of the ping difference, and you know, you don't get past. But it'd been the same story for him, I think. So
right,
you know, happy enough with P2, got the TT win, so you know, don't lose as many points in the championship that way. And yeah, we roll on, and long may we have this battle, you know, the two of us sort of side by side for the rest of the season.
I gotta say, it was incredibly exciting. I was going to ask about the undercut, just in terms of how important you think track position was today, and if it was maybe worth even a lap 12 pit stop before anybody had gone in, or something like that, to try and gain that time.
Well, I wanted to go earlier, but I just didn't want to risk getting caught in whatever the hell was going on back in the pack, because it wasn't worth the risk. You know, 14, you know, like COVID said, I mean, I did it in the first couple of races where I just went long to kind of avoid getting caught with anybody, you know, so I completely like share COVID's view on that you just want to go as long as you can and make sure everyone else is pitted so you don't get in another accident, you know, with a driver who's not really in your race.
Right. Well, what happened? Couple laps from the end, you seemed to hit the wall quite hard at turn 2.
Yeah.
Was that an attempt to overtake that sort of didn't quite go
Yeah,
off?
like I said, I did try to overtake. You know, I didn't really. I maybe shouldn't have done it at turn 1, but you know, just you have to try, don't you? Like,
yeah.
There's no point sort of just following him to the finish line. So, yeah.
I was wondering it. I was gonna wonder, you know, is he just sort of gonna settle for second here and say, we'll try again next week, or are you gonna actually go and get that because you got a huge gap behind with not much to lose in that sense?
You gotta go for it. I mean, there's no point. You know, there's no point just following to the finish. You know, and like you say, with the gap behind was so big, there's no risk of like us, you know, taking each other out and getting caught by third. So
well,
you know.
yeah, that'd be a bit real life formula-y that at Beijing,
maybe, maybe
crashing over the guardrails. But it's still very sonorous from you and very close in the championship, right at the top still. So that should be an amazing battle rest of the season. Good luck, mate.
Yeah, I hope so. Cheers, man.
We've got Jaruni finished 3rd and Golomi finished 4th. I might go for a bit of a rogue one. Down to UR. UR, your debut race. You stepped in very admirably, making it to Super Pole on debut, qualifying 5th on the grid. Few crashes, was it, that meant that you ended up finishing further down in 10th?
Yeah, well, a few is an understatement, and I'm sure like everyone in the midfield can say the exact same. That was quite something. I think there was something going on because, like, usually the car distances. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think it was very different today. It was very different to what I'm used to. It was quite a fun experience driving around. Although, oof, that was hectic. So yeah, hopefully we go again.
I think you might be right. I saw the likes of Gorlomi being affected multiple car lengths behind wherever I'd see someone on the spec view. So I think if that's what you're alluding to, I think you might be spot on there.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, like on my screen, there were a few times where I thought I was side by side with someone, and usually in like some of the other series, when I'm that close to someone, it means on their screen I'm not exactly there, but I'm closer there. But there were a few times where I went side by side, or like I went ahead of people, and I assumed they had not seen where I was.
hmm.
So if I tried making a move, it's like it, there would be no contact or anything for that matter to suggest that I was close to them. So it was a quite an intriguing race to say the least. So yeah.
I suppose you'd expect the opposite normally from a slower car, that you'd have a reduced distance of ping. So I think we'll have to have a look at what happened with the servers there. Final thing, was there some temptation in your mind? You went into the pit lane a matter of car lengths ahead of our race leaders. Was there any inkling that you might have wanted to just get involved a little bit there, do your best to put your foot on the brakes and hold up I stole these words to guarantee Corwood the victory, or do Andretti not pay you enough for the reserve contract?
Andretti need to pay me a lot more because I actually only thought of the idea once I heard it in comms because I was trying to get the overcuts.
Who
Or not the
mentioned that?
overcut. I wonder. But now I was trying to put a little bit later than everyone around me so I could get fresher tires towards the end. But that failed quite miserably. I think anti-strategy was the way to go for some of us who were lower down in the top 10. That was brilliant. But yeah, regardless, congrats to Corvid. Stoli came close, and Girouni with a solid podium. It was a good weekend.
Yeah. I suppose that is the thing, sort of judging if it's worth taking the overcut, but you know you're going to have to overtake everyone back through versus taking the undercut and knowing all you need to do is defend. With high ping distances today, looks like the undercut was the meta, wasn't it?
Indeed. And the funny thing is, I think for today, as weird as it sounds, right? So, as high pingers, we see a certain distance between our cars and the EU pingers, or like low pingers. I feel like today they went through that experience of how, like, how the high pingers usually feel. So, if their ping was like that bad, ooh, I can now understand how much worse it must have been. So it was an interesting race, eh?
Yeah. Kuba, I'll let you come in with something if you want to.
Crash. Wall. Car.
Did he?
Funny.
How many times?
Oh, I do, yes, many.
Yeah, so it seemed like it. We'll go finally, because we're just short on time now. Matty as well, 6th place, if you want to give an interview. You got the fastest lap of the race, which is worth 2 points. Kudos to you.
Yeah, actually, but that's not the most important news of the week. Actually, the most important news in FE's history was that the most powerful curse in the whole league history, the Madimar's P7 curse, was finally broken.
Yay!
Yay!
All it took was Anti running 22 laps on his final stint, and you got it. Well done,
Yes.
Matty. That's great
I
news.
was side by side with him on the last lap. I noticed that the countdown was low, and I decided that I need to try to pass him. And
Yes.
actually, I succeeded on my POV.
Well, that's fair enough. That's completely my fault about the countdown, so I do apologise for that. But well done for playing it right.
Don't worry. Actually, I even was on the podium in the first stint in a lot of time
Yeah.
alongside Lobster. He was really really fast. A huge respect for this guy. He's new and he already has done really good races, and he was almost impossible to pass.
Yeah.
Really good defending skills. And yeah, a bit disappointed that I haven't managed to finish higher because Anti's and Jero's strategies were cracked. And
Amazing.
also I lost some positions by either my mistakes or some accidents, but accidents happen in this league all the time, either caused by me or someone else. So I'm actually not minding about that. Just trying to not cause too many chaos.
I love the way you
Yeah, I'm
suggested that
happy
it's
for
sort of
the
like
great team result, for the amazing race, and for especially for breaking the curse.
yes.
Oh, and fastest lap is also pretty cool. I remember I set it on lap 2 where I went like from P7 to P3.
Brilliant. I love the way that you suggested accidents happen in this league either by me or someone else. Suggested it's like a 50-50 probability of like Maddie causing an accident or anybody else causing an accident.
Yeah, well, according to Jurist, it's 100% zero.
Well, I think Lobster gave you a good run for your money on that today. But that's all the time that we have. Absolutely amazing race and great interviews too. Thank you so much, lads.
This was probably the funniest race of them all. Thanks all the guys for the experience.
Amazing. Right, that's all for today. We'll see you in the seaside venue of Biscayne Bay in Miami next week. But until then, bye-bye.
Bye.